Ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it with another Ratchet and Clank limited weapon challenge. And in this one, we are going to be asking the question everybody's been wondering: is it possible to beat Ratchet and Clank Going Commando with only the mini turret glove? Let's find out. Before we get started, let's go ahead and throw out some grind rules for those of you who are new to the channel. First off, welcome. The first rule of the challenge is we are only allowed to use the mini turrets to kill enemies. Rule number 2, we are not allowed to use the wrench in any way to kill enemies or to even collect ammo crates. We must use other resources to get the ammo crates, whether it be explosive crates nearby or we have the enemies actually destroy the ammo crates. This adds a lot more depth and stakes to the challenge than ever before, because we're going to be even more limited on ammo than before by not having access to buying ammo from the vendor. Now, I will say, just as a disclaimer, if you do see me use my wrench a couple times in these clips, it's likely just an accident. I have major ADHD, so I probably just forgot. But other than that, as a bonus challenge, we are not going to be buying any armor, as armor would make this challenge far too easy. I like to die in one hit. This is real life, man. We don't get armor in real life. We don't get armor in Ratchet and Clank. Anyways, with the rules out of the way, let's go ahead and start this insane challenge. And if you enjoyed challenge ones like this, please be sure to subscribe, as I have been pushing to keep this content out weekly for you guys, and I know that you guys have been loving it, so thank you so much. So since we used Rackman to get the mini turret glove early, the first several levels were an absolute cakewalk, since you normally don't get it until Endako anyways. Now, unfortunately, because we debugged in the weapon, Aronos was actually fairly challenging because we didn't have any ammo. Now, normally, it wouldn't really be a problem because none of the enemies are required here, but we did have to make sure to get ammo before the Transfluxer coil room because we are required to fight these enemies. So I just used the blue spider dude to destroy the crates for us so that we have enough ammo to do this section. Other than that, Aronos was no problem. And neither was Uzla. Seeing how fast this swamp monster died to the mini turrets definitely put a smile on my face. Now, when it came to Maktar itself, it was a little bit challenging just because I gave myself that rule where I can't buy ammo and I can't use the wrench to get ammo. I had to rely on enemies and explosive crates to give me ammo throughout the level. This definitely added a lot more challenge to what would normally be a very easy level. Just for gits and shiggles, I wanted to see how many turrets it would take to kill Chainblade. Surprisingly, it was more than I thought it would be, but obviously they were able to take out Chainblade. Now onto Endako, where in a vanilla playthrough we would normally be able to buy the mini turrets. Now, when it came to this section to get to Clank, we really didn't run into any troubles here. Again, just making sure to watch our ammo and pick up as much as we can while baiting the enemies to destroying the ammo, got us to Clank with no problems, and obviously Clank's mission is just Clank's mission, you know, there's nothing special going on here. Now, when it came to the swing shot and grind boot path, this one was interesting. I couldn't really use my wrench to destroy these trash cans, because I felt like that was kind of cheese. So the first one has an explosive crate, which we were able to use to destroy this one. The next one, we had to actually use the thruster pack, which of course I'm playing the PS3 version. So instead of falling down like a normal trash can, it just disintegrates out of existence. But unfortunately, the thruster pack is able to destroy these. As for the rest of the path, we did get a little low on mini turrets, but we were just able to get by, and we just made sure to collect as much ammo as we could before the fight with the Thugs for Less leader. When it came to the Thugs for Less leader, he was surprisingly stronger than I thought. I thought the mini turret would do a lot more since this is the level where you get it. He definitely didn't die as fast as I could. By the time we finished off the Thug leader, we already had the mega turret glove, which was going to be very handy because obviously it's going to do way more damage than the mini turret glove. Other than that, we got our swing shot and grind boots and head to Barlow. Now, Barlow would clearly be possible with the mini turrets, but being the speedrunner-minded guy that I am, I did this trick with the helipack where we can actually get a high jump to skip the entire level and go straight to the hoverbike section. And when it came to the swing shot section, this really has nothing to do with the challenge, but we obviously do the swing shot section, kill a couple of these dinos, and get the Terminator for 1,000 bolts. Even though this guy wanted millions from Gadgetron, he accepts a significant discount, only charges us 1,000 bolts. I kind of feel like we scammed this guy, but at the same time, he's got like 8 minutes left of his life. Give him a break. On Felton, we be sure to pick up the extra nanotech boost, as a no armor run is already hard enough on its own. But with us skipping sections and skipping enemies, we're going to be pretty low on health by endgame, so it's very smart to pick up as many of these as possible. I say that, but then completely ignore the one on no tech. Listen, I never said I was smart. Since we have the Mega Turret Glove, it's still pretty over-leveled right now, so no tack was really easy. Not to mention, I did tend to thruster pack through most of the enemies. There were still a few ankle biters, purple dudes, and of course this gunship that we had to get through, but it wasn't really that bad. We then get our drug dealer's coordinates and move forward onto the factory. Factory has like 3 ankle biters. It's just a Terminator puzzle, so obviously this wasn't an issue. We then get scammed by these talking robots, charging us a $6,000 premium for the coordinates to the next level, Siberius.
This galaxy blows.
When it comes to Siberius, this is where the game steps up a little bit in difficulty and kind of upgrades the troops so they're more powerful now. So the enemies are now taking a lot more ammo to kill. And with the ammo limitations that I have for this challenge, I decided it would probably be best to, again, skip as many enemies as I could. Now, I did still have to kill multiple enemies before the train, and obviously you have to kill every enemy on the train. So I had to make sure to have plenty of ammo to be able to kill every enemy on the train. When it comes to the thief's first 2 phases on the train, the mini turrets do have a long enough range to be able to actually reach her. This was something I was very worried about, so I'm very thankful that they were able to reach. When it came to the boss fight in general, it was an absolute joke. I just threw down like 10 turrets. She went down in seconds. Now we move on to Tabora, where our ship gets brutally murdered and we get access to the lava gun. Too bad it's not allowed. Sag. We zoom through the Tabora caverns until we're able to get our Omni Wrench upgrade. Not that we're really going to be using this at all, other than for some bolt cranks. Now, I will say, when it came to the Tabora Desert itself, I did use the wrench on the crystals. That's just because the mini turrets don't target the crystals, which is a little frustrating. When I initially thought of this challenge, I made the rule that we're not allowed to like break crates or break ammo crates with the wrench because I thought that the mini turrets targeted like inanimate objects like the crates, the ammo crates, the crystals. Apparently, I'm thinking about Up Your Arsenal. The AI in Up Your Arsenal is really smart and is able to target these inanimate objects. But in Going Commando, that is not the case, unfortunately. So when I thought of this challenge, you know, I was kind of thinking, oh, it's not going to be that bad. And then when I realized that's not the case, I just stuck with it anyways. So we did have to destroy all of the crystals by hand. We could have had enemies destroy them, but at the moment, I wasn't really thinking of that. Anyways, we talked to James Arnold Taylor, get our ship fixed, and before leaving, we grab the glider real quick, as this is an essential tool for progression. Our next planet is Dabo, and Dabo was a pain in the ass, as expected. Now, I don't know what path people normally take, but I usually take the teleporter path to get the coordinates to Hrugus Cloud first. Unfortunately, as I was heading through this path, we ran into an obstacle. This tank. Unfortunately, there's just nothing I can do to reach this tank. The turrets do not have nearly enough range, and Ratchet can't get close enough to throw the turrets on the same platform. I tried everything I could, and I just could not get past this section. So I decided to just let it go for right now and move on to the main path where we talk to the mathematician. Is that a good impression? Probably not. But prior to getting to the mathematician, we had to actually get through the level. When it came to this level, it was kind of a challenge. There's the red soldier bots, and then there's the tanks. Soldier bots do a pretty good amount of damage, and there's actually a lot of them, and then there's these tanks. The first tank is not a problem. The second tank is a problem, because there's this really long jump that we have to make, and you can barely make this jump with a long jump. The only problem is, without killing this tank, this long jump becomes really, really difficult. Because even when you land it, as soon as you get back up, he's just going to snipe you and either kill you just with damage or knock you right off the edge after you just got there. So this ended up taking us a couple attempts until we were finally able to get through this section. Once we got through here, I did everything I could to not die because I didn't want to have to do that again. Fortunately, we did get lucky enough not to die and make it to said mathematician. Giant Clank section, there's absolutely nothing to write home about. And with that section done, we unlock Joba. Now, when it came to Joba, the first thing we do, as per usual, is get the charge boots from the hover bike race. The charge boots are overall just a very handy gadget, but for us specifically, we're going to end up needing them. We then head for the main path of Joba, where at this point, our mini turrets are really just not enough. They're not quite making the cut. We have to throw multiple of them just to kill the base armored goofy enemies. We definitely get very low on ammo to the point where at the end of this level, I have to run through this large room of enemies. And for some reason, I had so much trouble with this. All I did was charge forward onto that large step, but then somehow one of the goofies ended up on that step, which is literally not possible. So I don't know what happened there, but this definitely took us a couple attempts to actually get past here and progress forward. Once we finally got through here, we buy the levitator from the Shady Salesman and we move on to the Megacorp arena. Again, our problem here is going to be ammo. Fortunately, this is when my brain actually clicked and was like, wait a minute, we can just have the enemies attack the ammo crates. And that's pretty much what happened, because ammo during the arenas spawns fairly generously, every couple rounds at least. So we were able to have enough ammo to get by. But using the enemies to get the ammo was definitely the only way we were going to be able to get through this level. Now with Joba out of the way, we had no choice but to head back to Dabo. We had to do this teleporter path with the tank. And fortunately, we could do that now that we have the charge boots. So normally this tank is just in the way and there's nothing we can do about it. Fortunately, again, I am kind of a speedrunner at heart, even though I've never actually really speedran these games. Though I will be soon. Be sure to check that out. Anyways, if we throw ourselves into this corner, which believe me, is harder than it looks, I failed like 10 times just getting here, we are able to use the turrets. And fortunately, this would not work in any other challenge. But fortunately, this is a mini turrets challenge, so I'm allowed to use the turrets. We're going to use the turrets here to clip through the wall and then charge boot straight forward. By charge booting straight forward, we actually end up in the end of the glider section where the electrolyzer puzzle is. We do the electrolyzer puzzle and then death abuse. By death abusing, we then spawn in the teleporter. Taking the teleporter brings us right back to where we would normally be had that tank not been there, where the computer charges us an insurmountable amount of money for us to progress.
This galaxy blows.
Which, as always, Progress Cloud is not a problem in any way, shape, or form. It's just a ship mission. But it leads to Tadano. Now, normally Tadano would have two paths, one that is the intended path to progress through the game, and the other leading to the Sheepinator. Obviously, we don't need the Sheepinator, so we're not going to take that path. The main path is pretty tricky. We have these big robots, and at this point in the game, they're able to almost one-shot us, if not entirely one-shot us. And this minefield definitely wanted to test that. Fortunately, once we got through the minefield, the rest of these robots really aren't an issue. The turrets surprisingly take them out pretty quickly. Not to mention, you could actually entirely skip through these guys until you get to the infiltrator puzzle. The only enemy that poses a threat is another one of these giant robot guys. But with my immense dodging skills, we were able to kill the enemy and move on to the next planet. That next planet being Balden. This planet also opens up with two paths. We can take an optional grind rail section that leads to Slim Cognito, who could help us get some weapon mods. And to be honest, I don't know why I didn't get any weapon mods for the mini turrets. It would have actually been pretty helpful to have a weapon mod. But to be completely frank, I genuinely forget there's even mods in this game. I never use the weapon mods. And I'm sure the weapons would be a lot better if I did use them. I just forget they're here. I always think Ratchet Deadlocked is the first game to have weapon mods, even though that's completely inaccurate. When it comes to the main path of Balden, this was without a doubt one of the most annoying planets in the run. These sharpshooters, one, have ridiculously good aim, ridiculously fast bullets, and also deal an absolute insane amount of damage. This level required absolute precision and some insane dodging skills. We definitely did not do this first try. There were many sections where we struggled with, especially when it came to ammo. Ammo was a huge problem in this level, especially by the time we got to the first anti-gravity section. When we had to walk on the wall of the building, this section was crazy because I'm trying to avoid every enemy, but somehow they just keep hitting me over and over again. Fortunately, once we get past here, there is a giant room filled to the brim with crates, a lot of them being ammo crates, but I struggled in this room even to just get past the enemies with what I had. After a couple of attempt, we were able to get a good amount of ammo here. And fortunately, the second grav ramp section is a lot easier, with us being able to run through every single enemy with no problems. Therefore, clearing Balden and doing such a good job, we get rewarded with jail time. Aronos has a 10-minute Clank section, but again, we don't need to cover that. When it comes to the 2 Ratchet sections, this level is mainly focused on platforming. It has a lot of enemies, but 99% of them are completely avoidable. So we really just did some wall jump platforming here, killed a couple of enemies, got our final wrench upgrade, not that that matters, and we did some levitator sections. Other than that, Aronos Prison gave us no issues. Now, what did give us issues, unfortunately, was Gorn. Now, when it comes to this game, I'm normally used to the randomizer, which is on the PS2 version, where we can scam Slim. Unfortunately, this time around, I'm playing on the PS3 version, and I can't scam Slim Cognito. So we had to actually save up some Raritanium in order to get the best ship upgrade in the game. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking the nuke is the best ship upgrade. If you think that, it's okay, but you are wrong. The best ship upgrade is actually the fusion cannon upgrade, because once you get the blue lasers, your ship can kill anything in seconds, including but not limited to these ships on Gorn. The nuke is nice, but it doesn't make the ships on Gorn any easier because it can only hit 2 of them. Not to mention, the fusion cannon is half the price of the nuke. So grinding to 30 Raritanium was a lot quicker than 60, obviously. And now it's time for Snivelac. The first section just has some swing shot, grind rail, and grav ramp shenanigans. Nothing crazy. And then we move on to the main portion of the level, that being this bridge area loaded with enemies. All skippable enemies, mind you. When it comes to the next section after the bridge, again, because we're doing the mega turret run, why not just cheese the game? We're able to clip through this wall, which brings us directly to the boss. Now, normally, if I had the Sheepinator, I would Sheepinate him here to skip the boss entirely. Unfortunately, I don't have the Sheepinator, so we are going to have to fight him vanilla. This basically just skips all of the other enemies in this area, because Snivelac is pretty tough. So having the option to skip them with this challenge, specifically me having the turret so I can actually clip, I was going to capitalize on that. Now, when it came to the Snivelac boss, unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do here. The turrets just aren't going to deal enough damage, so I decided that we would just beat him with the normal turrets. And we definitely did that first try. We definitely didn't die during his death animation. I will never mentally recover from this. This was 10 minutes of my life wasted! Anyways, it's time for Smolg. Also, remember to skip this cutscene, otherwise you fail the challenge, because like an idiot, Ratchet pulls out the Heavy Lancer, which first of all, I don't even have, and second of all, fails the challenge, because that is not a mini turret glove, Ratchet. Anyways, like I was saying, it's time for Smolg. When it came to Smolg, I did what I normally do. I spammed to kill a couple required enemies, and I charge booted through all of the others. Genuinely though, this planet doesn't actually have any required kills except for this wall of crates. But all you have to do is take out the one column. As soon as that column is out, just charge boot forward up until you get to the Dynamo section, which at that point, there are no enemies until we get the galactic greeting from Angela, which gives us the coordinates to her home planet, Grelbin. God, I would never want to live here. Imagine living here. It's cold, gross. There's Yetis everywhere. I don't know how she does it. She's stronger than me. Now, even though we got the coordinates to Grelbin, we're not actually done with this section. We still have to grind rail down here and head to the next area where we get the Hypnomatic part. Again, fortunately, like the coward I am, all of these enemies are avoidable. After using the Infiltrator to get rid of this force field, I did unfortunately die, but to be honest, who doesn't die there? I mean, come on, those enemies are so powerful. Anyways, we get the Hypnomatic part, and then we do the platforming levitator section, which only has a few ankle biters that are required to be killed, and then we pay 40,000 bolts. Sorry, let me make sure I didn't say that wrong. 40,000 bolts for the coordinates to Damisel.
This galaxy.
The entire premise of Grelbin is to just, run as fast as you can and not get hit by the Yetis. And I'm sure they intend for you to kill the Yetis. I'm sure they intend for you to kill the Leviathans. That's absolutely not happening. I ran through here like the coward that I am, and collected the 9 moonstones required to conveniently move that rock and do the glider section. I took a couple deaths from these robots because, you know, their insane accuracy. I genuinely think these enemies are some of the most well-programmed enemies when it comes to predicting where to shoot and predicting where Ratchet is going to be. I hate these enemies. We clear this section and open up the ramps leading to the rest of Grelbin, where we have to get 16 more moonstones in order for that hypnomatic part. And I did the same strategy as last time. Obviously, this time, tanking a couple deaths. Now, normally we'd have to go to Damisel first, build the hypnomatic, and then come back here to get the coordinates to Yeedil, the final planet. Instead, I just decided to get the coordinates to Yeedil now because I know a 6 speedrun strat that easily gets you there. If you want to know it too, here it is. All you do is jump on this little rock here, use the helipack, do a forward high jump, and you will just clip through the floor here. All you have to do then, long jump over to this section and you'll be right at Angela's house. Technically skipping Damisel. Now, we did still head to Damisel because sure, we can skip Damisel and get the coordinates to Yeedil, but we still need the hypnomatic. So we land on Damisel with our mini turrets ready to take these enemies out. Now, prior to going into the main meat of Damisel, we just do the grind boot section to get the final part of the hypnomatic.
Sorry.
This level wants you to believe that it's better than Grelbin, but it is not. This level has 5 different sections that require every single enemy to be killed before you are able to progress. So my strategy here to run through every enemy, it's not viable anymore. And if you guys thought that somehow I was going to get through this first section, you are absolutely out of your mind. I gave this around 10 attempts and then said, yep, this is impossible. I'm leaving. Now I know what you guys are thinking, but Ninja, how are you going to beat this challenge without the hypnomatic? Let me show you. There's a series of strategies that you can do to get to the teleporter on Yeedil, entirely skipping the required hypnomatic. Let's talk about it. All we had to do was some charge boot cancel shenanigans twice to get through this area, and then unfortunately to get through all these tanks, we had to kill a few enemies so that we can get towards this wall in the top right corner, clip through the wall to then get to the teleporter, skipping the entire first section and both hypnomatic sections. When it came to the rest of this level, I can't really even think about it without having me blow a fuse. This level was absolutely God's worst creation. This level made me lose my sanity. Now, the plan for this level was simple. Skip through all these enemies up until we get to this dynamo section. This dynamo section, we could skip the enemies, but I knew it would be difficult, and obviously it was. This next room has the infiltrator. Unfortunately, there are just so many enemies in here, and the mini turrets don't distract like the decoy glove does. So we had to spend a lot of our ammo to kill every single person here, and this alone took us several attempts. In fact, on this level specifically, I had to lift the rule for not buying ammo, because I don't think there's more than like 2 ammo crates in this entire level. It's ridiculous. So unfortunately, we did have to buy ammo every time we saw a vendor, and even then, we barely had enough ammo. Just getting to this room, we already died several times. Fortunately, we did have one good attempt. We killed all the enemies in this room except for the 2 guys up high. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to reach them, but fortunately, there is a brief period of time right after they shoot their shot that you can actually get into the infiltrator door. Now, once you open that door, it's open forever. Because unfortunately, I immediately died as soon as I opened the door. But again, it's open forever. So we just have to rush through the entire level again without getting hit while having our max ammo until we get to this tank section. Now, initially, I was going to fight these tanks. The mini turrets can barely reach them, and I remember something that my friend Aronos 5 taught me. You can actually just jump across the bridge and skip them entirely. Thank you, Aronos. You really saved me hours and hours of pain, suffering, and torture. The last section of this level just took me spamming the turrets as much as I could and some really good timing and luck to get across the bridge into the final boss. Now, when it comes to the final boss, this is one of the most tankiest final bosses in the franchise. I know a lot of people are like, no, he's not, he's super easy. Trust me, if you don't use the bouncer, the rhino, or the tetra bomb gun, this boss is very tanky. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody, but unfortunately, the Proto Pet was not possible. And the main reason is just because of the fact that he keeps spitting out multiple Proto Pets to the point where we don't have enough ammo to keep up with the Proto Pet demand. And as long as there's Proto Pets on screen, he will not move on to his next phase where he will spawn more ammo. Unfortunately, we were at an impasse, and unfortunately, the Proto Pet won the fight. So is it possible to beat Ratchet and Clank Going Commando with only the mini turret glove? Unfortunately not. The entire game is possible up until we get to the final boss, assuming we have some speedrunning tech. Otherwise, the run would technically end on Damisel. God, do I hate Damisel. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what challenge you guys want to see next. And remember to subscribe. We're on our way to 5,000 subscribers, and we're very, very close. We're getting closer every day. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you to all the members. Your guys' support means the world to me, and I really appreciate those of you in the higher tiers who are really stepping up and helping me financially. I very, very much appreciate the continued support. I will have some member content coming out soon. I know I keep promising member content. I am just so busy pumping these videos out. I will have some member content out soon, I promise. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Ninja out.